The old house loomed, its presence a dark stain against the horizon. It stood against the backdrop of the stormy sky, a sentinel of sorrow, a monolith of grief, shrouded in shadow, its walls whispering tales of despair. Ethan Cross stood before it, his heart a hollow echo in his chest, resonating with the house's mournful aura. The wind howled around him, a mournful symphony that seemed to emanate from the house itself, as if the very air was alive with sorrow. He didn't want to enter, he had to. The house called to him, a siren song of grief and memory. His footsteps were heavy as he approached the porch, each step a reluctant march towards the unknown. Each step was a journey closer to his pain, closer to her memory. The weight of the past pressed down on him. The air grew colder as he climbed the steps, a chilling premonition settling over him, wrapping around him like a shroud. This was no ordinary house. It was a vessel of sorrow, a keeper of secrets. He could feel it in his bones, a deep, unsettling certainty that this house was alive with the echoes of the past. Ethan's mind raced with memories, each one a dagger to his heart. The house seemed to pulse with a life of its own, feeding on his grief. He remembered the laughter that once filled its halls, now replaced by an oppressive silence. The house had been a home, a place of joy and love. Now, it was a tomb, a monument to loss. Ethan felt the weight of the past pressing down on him, each memory a chain that bound him to this place. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. He had come here for a reason. He had to face the past. With a final, resolute step, he crossed the threshold, entering the house that fed on grief. The door creaked open, and Ethan stepped into the darkness, ready to confront the shadows of Cedar Crest. Ethan's world had shattered 6 months ago. The car crash had been swift, brutal, and utterly final. He could still hear the screech of tires, the shattering of glass. The memory of that day was a gaping wound in his soul. The doctors had revived him, but a part of him had died alongside his beloved Claire. He had retreated from life, seeking solace in isolation. His friends' attempts at comfort felt hollow, their words distant echoes. His work, once a source of purpose, now seemed meaningless. It was then he had received the letter, a distant relative's will bequeathing him Cedar Crest, a sprawling Victorian mansion overlooking the small town of Hollow Creek. A fresh start, they called it, a chance to heal. Ethan packed his belongings with a heavy heart, each item a reminder of the life he once had. The photographs of him and Claire, the souvenirs from their travels, all seemed to mock his current state of despair. The drive to Hollow Creek was long and winding, the dense forest on either side of the road casting eerie shadows as the sun began to set. It felt as though he was driving into the unknown, leaving behind the remnants of his shattered life. When he finally arrived at Cedar Crest, the mansion loomed before him, its grand facade both intimidating and inviting. It was a place steeped in history, with secrets hidden within its walls. As Ethan explored the mansion, he felt a strange connection to the place. The dusty furniture, the old portraits on the walls, all seemed to whisper stories of the past. It was as if the house itself was alive, watching his every move. In one of the rooms, he discovered a hidden door leading to a small, dimly lit chamber. Inside, he found an old, dusty book. As he read through its pages, he realized it was a journal, detailing the lives of the mansion's previous inhabitants. The journal spoke of love, loss, and tragedy, mirroring Ethan's own experiences. The more he read, the more he felt a kinship with those who had lived and died within Cedar Crest's walls. It was as if their spirits were reaching out to him, offering solace and understanding. Standing by the window, Ethan gazed out at the town of Hollow Creek in the distance. For the first time in months, he felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps this place, with its haunted past and mysterious aura, could help him find the peace he so desperately sought. With renewed determination, Ethan began the arduous task of cleaning and restoring the mansion. Friends from the town came to help, their presence a comforting reminder that he was not alone in his journey. Slowly, Cedar Crest began to come to life, its dark corners illuminated by the light of hope. One day, while sorting through a box of old belongings, Ethan found a photograph of Claire. He smiled, feeling her presence beside him. The mansion, once a symbol of his grief, now stood as a testament to his resilience and the enduring power of love. As he stood in front of Cedar Crest, bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun, Ethan knew that he had found his new beginning. The mansion, with its rich history and haunting beauty, had given him a second chance at life, and for the first time in a long while, he felt ready to embrace it. Cedar Crest was a relic of a bygone era, A grand mansion that once stood as a testament to opulence and grandeur. Its gables were adorned with intricate carvings, now weathered and overgrown with ivy, telling tales of a time long past. The windows, like vacant eyes, stared out at him, reflecting the emptiness that had settled within the house. As the real estate agent droned on about square footage and original fixtures, Ethan felt an unsettling presence, a chill that seemed to seep into his bones. The air inside was heavy, thick with the perfume of decay and something else he couldn't quite place, a scent that seemed to whisper secrets of the past. He wandered through the rooms, each one adorned with dusty furniture and faded grandeur, remnants of a life that had once been vibrant and full. The scent of lavender lingered in the air, a sweet, cloying aroma that reminded him of Claire, his late wife, whose memory haunted him still. His heart ached with a fresh wave of grief, the pain of her loss as raw as the day she had passed. He hadn't noticed the faint humming sound at first, a low, almost imperceptible drone that seemed to come from the very walls. It seemed to emanate from the walls themselves, a low, mournful drone that sent shivers down his spine, as if the house itself was mourning its lost glory. Ethan moved cautiously through the dimly lit rooms, each step echoing in the silence, each creak of the floorboards a reminder of the house's age and decay. He paused to look at old photographs, vintage family portraits covered in dust, their faces frozen in time, staring back at him with hollow eyes. A cold breeze brushed past him, sending a chill down his spine as if the house was breathing, alive with the memories of those who had once lived there. In one of the rooms he found an old diary, its pages yellowed with age, filled with the handwritten notes of someone long gone. The words spoke of love and loss, of joy and sorrow, a life lived within the walls of Cedar Crest, now reduced to mere memories. Ethan closed the diary, feeling a deep connection to the past, a sense of kinship with those who had once called this place home. He stood in the center of the room, looking around with a sense of wonder and sadness, feeling the weight of history pressing down on him. And then he heard the faintest of whispers, as if the house itself was trying to speak to him, to share its secrets and its sorrow. Determined to uncover the truth, Ethan steeled himself, ready to face whatever the house had to reveal. With a deep breath, he continued his exploration, each step bringing him closer to the heart of Cedar Crest and the mysteries it held within. Days turned into weeks and the strange occurrences continued. Lights flickered and pipes groaned, shadows danced at the edge of his vision. The scent of lavender grew stronger, always present, a constant reminder of his loss. One night, he woke to the sound of sobbing. It seemed to come from the room next door, Claire's old study. He threw open the door, his heart pounding. The room was empty, yet the scent of lavender was overpowering. And then he saw her, a shimmering figure, barely discernible in the moonlight, standing by the window. Her form, her scent, the way she tilted her head, it was Claire. He reached out, his voice choked with emotion, but the figure vanished, leaving behind only the lingering scent of lavender and an icy chill. He sat on the edge of his bed, head in his hands, staring at a photo of Claire. The memories of their time together flooded back, each one more painful than the last. They had laughed together, held hands through the toughest times and danced under the stars. Now, all that remained was the echo of her presence and the scent of lavender. He wandered through the dark hallways of the house, touching the old photos and the lavender flowers she had loved so much. Each touch was a reminder of the life they had shared. In the quiet of the study, he began to write in a journal, hoping to capture the essence of his grief and the haunting presence of Claire. He looked out the window, wondering if he would ever find peace. He lit a candle, its flickering light casting shadows on the walls. The scent of lavender mingled with the wax, creating an atmosphere of both comfort and sorrow. As he lay in bed, he closed his eyes, hoping for a dreamless sleep. But the dreams came, filled with images of Claire and the life they had lost. He woke suddenly, the scent of lavender still strong in the air. He looked around in confusion, wondering if it had all been a dream. He walked to the window, looking out at the night sky. The moonlight bathed the room in a soft glow, and for a moment, he felt Claire's presence beside him. He closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. The scent of lavender filled his lungs, and he felt a sense of calm wash over him. He was alone, but he knew that Claire's spirit would always be with him. He walked away from the window, sitting down with his journal. By the candlelight, he wrote about the Lavender Spectre, hoping that one day he would find peace in the memories of the love they had shared. terror gave way to a chilling realization. The house wasn't haunted in the traditional sense, it fed on grief, growing stronger with every tear he shed. The entity, a spectral imitation of Claire, was a cruel manifestation of his deepest pain. It whispered his name in the dead of night, its voice an echo of his beloved's. He tried to leave, to escape the suffocating presence that clung to him like a shroud. But the house held him captive, its grip tightening with every passing moment. His reflection in the mirror no longer looked like him. His features were gaunt, his eyes hollow, reflecting the despair that consumed him. The house was breaking him, piece by piece. Desperate for answers, Ethan scoured the house, searching for clues to its dark history. Every creak of the floorboards and whisper of the wind seemed to echo the secrets of Cedar Crest. In the attic, hidden beneath piles of forgotten belongings, he stumbled upon a dusty trunk. The air was thick with dust and the scent of old wood, making each breath feel like inhaling the past. Inside, he found a leather-bound journal filled with frantic, faded handwriting. The pages crackled as he turned them, revealing the desperate scrawls of a tormented soul. It belonged to a woman named Abigail, a previous resident of Cedar Crest, who had lost her family in a fire. Her photograph, tucked between the pages, showed a woman whose eyes held a haunting sadness. Abigail's words painted a picture of unimaginable sorrow. She wrote of nights spent in tears, of days filled with an unending ache. She wrote of strange occurrences, of a presence that offered comfort but demanded a terrible price. Shadows that moved on their own, whispers that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Her grief had consumed her, and the house had fed on it, growing stronger. The more she mourned, the more the house seemed to come alive, thriving on her despair. Ethan realized with a growing sense of dread that he was walking the same path. The house was not just a structure, it was a living entity feeding on the sorrow of its inhabitants. Empowered by this knowledge, Ethan resolved to confront the entity. He knew that the answers lay within the heart of the storm that had engulfed the house for decades. He gathered Abigail's journal and other relics of the house's past, including old newspaper clippings detailing a series of tragic deaths within its walls. Each piece of history he uncovered painted a clearer picture of the malevolent force that had taken hold of the house. He spread them out on the floor of the grand living room, the room where he had last seen the apparition of Claire. The air was thick with anticipation as he pieced together the tragic history that had led to this moment. The house responded with fury. It was as if the very walls were alive, shaking with a rage that had been building for years. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows with primal rage. It was as if the storm itself was a manifestation of the house's anger, a tempest that mirrored the turmoil within. Lights flickered violently, plunging the room into darkness. The only illumination came from the occasional flash of lightning, casting eerie shadows that danced on the walls. The scent of lavender intensified, chokingly sweet. It filled the room, making it hard to breathe. And then she appeared. The entity, radiating a cold, ethereal light, stood before him. Her presence was both mesmerizing and terrifying, a spectral vision that seemed to defy reality. Her eyes, once filled with Claire's warmth, were now cold and empty, reflecting the abyss that had consumed her. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine as he faced the embodiment of the house's sorrow and rage. Ethan confronted the entity, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and despair. The room seemed to close in around him, shadows dancing on the walls as if mocking his every move. He could feel the weight of the house's malevolence pressing down on him, suffocating him with its dark presence. He read aloud from Abigail's journal, revealing the house's dark secret, its insatiable hunger for grief. Each word seemed to echo in the room, reverberating with a sinister energy that made his skin crawl. The journal's pages were filled with tales of sorrow and loss, each one feeding the house's dark appetite. He pleaded with the apparition of Claire, begging her to fight the darkness that held her captive. His voice cracked with emotion, tears streaming down his face as he reached out to her. But Claire's eyes were empty, her soul trapped in the house's malevolent grip. But the entity only mocked him, its voice a chilling distortion of his beloved's. It laughed, a sound that sent shivers down his spine, and taunted him with memories of happier times. The house twisted those memories, turning them into weapons to break his spirit. He knew then that he couldn't save her, couldn't save himself. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut, leaving him breathless and defeated. The house had won, its roots buried deep within his wounded soul, feeding on his despair. The house had taken too much, its roots buried deep within his wounded soul. It had fed on his grief, growing stronger with each passing day, until there was nothing left of the man he once was. The house was a living entity, a parasite that thrived on the pain of its inhabitants. He set fire to the journal, the flames licking at the pages, consuming Abigail's words, and with it, a part of the house's hold over him. The fire crackled and roared, a beacon of hope in the darkness. As the journal burned, he felt a small measure of relief, a tiny crack in the house's grip on his soul. As flames engulfed the living room, he fled, the screams of the house echoing in his ears. The fire spread quickly, consuming everything in its path, and he could hear the house's anguished cries as it burned. He ran, not daring to look back, as the house that fed on grief was finally consumed by the flames. Ethan never looked back. He left Cedar Crest engulfed in flames, a raging inferno against the stormy sky. He didn't know if he had vanquished the entity or simply appeased its hunger for a time. He carried the scars of his encounter, the memory of Claire forever intertwined with the chilling presence that haunted the house. He moved on, seeking solace in the anonymity of a distant city. But the silence of his new life was often broken by the faint scent of lavender, a chilling reminder that some wounds never truly heal. The house that fed on grief may have been reduced to ashes, but the echoes of its darkness lingered, a haunting testament to the enduring power of sorrow. Ethan's journey began long before the flames consumed Cedar Crest. As a child, he was always drawn to the mysterious and the unknown, often exploring the woods behind his family home, searching for hidden secrets and forgotten tales. His fascination with the supernatural grew as he delved into old books and ancient texts, seeking to understand the world beyond the veil of reality. It was during one of these quests for knowledge that he met Claire, a kindred spirit with a shared passion for the arcane. Their bond was immediate and profound, a connection that transcended the ordinary. Together they explored haunted places and faced dangers that would have broken lesser souls. Their love was their shield, their shared courage their sword. But fate was cruel. Claire's tragic end left Ethan shattered, his heart a vessel of unending grief. The house at Cedar Crest became his obsession, a place where he hoped to find answers or perhaps a way to reunite with his lost love. The confrontation with the entity was the culmination of years of pain and longing. Ethan fought with every ounce of his being, driven by the memory of Claire and the hope of ending the house's reign of terror. In the aftermath, Ethan was a changed man. The physical scars were nothing compared to the emotional wounds that would never fully heal. His eyes, once filled with curiosity and wonder, now held a haunted look, a reflection of the darkness he had faced. He tried to move on, to build a new life in the bustling city. But the shadows of his past were never far behind, always lurking at the edges of his consciousness. The scent of lavender, once a comforting presence, now served as a chilling reminder of all he had lost. It was a ghost that followed him, a whisper of the past that refused to be silenced. Cedar Crest may have been reduced to ruins, but its legacy of sorrow and pain endured. The house that fed on grief had left an indelible mark on Ethan's soul, a testament to the enduring power of sorrow and the unending quest for peace.